So years ago, my friend Dr. Michelle Robin, who you may remember from episode 7, said to me, "You've got to meet Connie Zack, the owner of Sunlighten Saunas, because you love infrared saunas. But the two of you, your hearts are just the same shape." And I knew Connie would be amazing because everybody that Michelle has introduced me to has been extraordinary. But you know when you meet somebody and you just get them and they get you, you move through the world in a similar way and it's just easy. That's how I felt when I met Connie. She elevates and celebrates others in the most extraordinary way. And she and her husband, Aaron, have a beautiful partnership in life and in business. And she's such a great example of it has to be me, of just owning your uniqueness and your superpowers and shining your light and sharing it with the world and the wonderful things that happen when you lead with your heart. And Sunlight and Saunas is such an incredible story of building a business out of a genuine desire to help people and make their lives better. I have certainly been the recipient of that in many ways with Connie. But when my former partner Scott got cancer, we bought an infrared sauna to support his oncology treatments. We got in it every day and he made a full recovery. It made an extraordinary difference to my health and vitality as well. And now being in my infrared sauna has become a non-negotiable part of my self-care and the care of many people in my health programs in the Skinny 60 community or the Decadent Detox. I've just seen thousands of examples of the power of infrared saunas. I think you are just going to love Connie. So let's get the skinny from Connie Zack. Thank you, Connie, for joining me. I am so excited to have this conversation with you because I got out of my sauna and was thinking, I'm going to talk to the woman who puts these out into the world. So I was just saying before, Connie, about how when I met you, I felt like our hearts were the same shape. And it was just this really special time for me because I already loved Sunlighten Saunas. But then I met you and then I loved them even more. So for you, dear listener, Connie Zack and her husband, Aaron, are this dynamic duo that are the co-owners of Sunlighten Saunas and Sunlighten Day Spa in Kansas City. And they really created the infrared sauna space and really leading the charge in innovation with infrared light technology. And so committed to helping people achieve their wellness goals with this incredible technology. The thing I love about Connie and Aaron is how they work together to foster this beautiful culture of really caring for others. And so that was one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to Connie on It Has to Be Me, to find out a little bit more about the story behind this beautiful company. I mean, you would have seen it on Oprah and, the New York Times and the Today Show and Dr. Oz and, all the huge places. And you probably heard about Dr. Mark Hyman and Dr. Stephen Gundry and celebrities like Tim McGraw. And I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs, anybody watching the Super Bowl, yay, wasn't that amazing? So, I mean, it seems like everybody who's in the know in wellness has a Sunlighten sauna, but let's dive in a little bit, all right? So I want to know from you, Connie, how this journey with this commitment to wellness began for you. So did you grow up in a health conscious family? Like, how did that start for you, the seed of that?
The seed started with, my family growing up, and I grew up so different than so many of my other friends but I, of course, when you're growing up, you don't realize it, right? You don't realize you're growing up as any, different. But I
What do you
grew
mean
up,
different?
yeah, well, I was raised a vegetarian. So that
Yeah.
was completely different because everybody ate meat, and I would go to friends' homes and they would have pizza. And I would just gently pull out the pepperoni. It seemed like everybody ate pepperoni pizza. Like there was no such thing as cheese pizza. I don't know. So I would just, very kindly and I would do everything I could. So I was raised as a vegetarian. My dad was really passionate, and my mom, both of them, passionate about just nutrition and eating whole foods. It's the way I live today, and the way a lot of people live today. but that just wasn't I was also raised in my very, very early beginnings was in a small town, and small town is just very different than, we eventually moved to St. Louis, which is, you had real grocery stores. Not that you didn't have real grocery stores in a small town. So let me change the way that it was just small markets, right? And so that was initially the way I was raised, like everything, just real food. Like my dad always used to, his words were nothing white, because nothing in life is white. Like there's no such thing as, I mean, he's like, like anything white, he's like, it's bleached to become white. He's like, it's not just
Yeah.
natural white. Like, do you see wheat? Wheat's not white. Like he would always use all this kind of analogies, and I'm like, okay. So,
And what did it feel like to be different in a small town?
different. Meaning that I recognized that I, wasn't like everybody else. And so, at that time, I didn't cherish it the way that, I've learned and evolved to cherish my, unicorn abilities today. But
Yeah,
feeling
I'm
like
cherishing it right now.
yeah, but feeling like a unicorn back then, it's tough. It's tough as a little girl. But I I didn't rebel. I listened to my family. I loved my family. And so I just kind of embraced it in my own kind of private way, and making sure what I really wanted, which I think a lot of people do when they feel different, is I didn't want to call attention to it, right? So I really never talked about it. I mean, still to this day, you're probably one of the first people that I, have just shared the whole white thing. Like, my dad, like, no, there's no white flour, white eggs. Like eggs, when they come out of chicken, they're not this like, beautiful dental white. Like it's just not the way they are. Um, but it's something I never talked about because nobody else had that experience. And so I would just kind of like, kind of skate in to the rest of the world. And so that was my
Yeah. I
earliest
want to ask you
beginnings.
about that kind of "it has to be me" moment, right? Like how did that affect you as you went into being a teenager and then into college where you studied Spanish? You know what I mean? That's different, back then, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
W
yeah.
tell me about how that informed some of your choices as you were developing into an adult, the fact that you were different. I
Yeah.
love being different, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I found a way to just kind of, that now the word, is like leaning in, but I found a way to really just kind of embrace inside me who I
Mm.
was, and allowed myself to kind of hold that space for all those things that happen, all the differences, um, and know that that was inside me, but externally just tried to do my best to assimilate and to, um, to follow the flow of everybody else. So I was never in that space where I was like, oh, okay, I have to rebel,
Mm.
and it wasn't until really, really college, probably, yeah, it was in college when people started to take me aside. I joined a sorority, and I had some the girls in the older classes, like I can remember many different, now that I just said that, I remember all these different faces, and then pulling me aside and saying, Connie, like you really have a lot of gifts, and I really like want to be around you, and I want you to be inside our sorority. I want to have some of your energy. And then one specific person who I wasn't really close with, she took me aside and she said, you are a natural born leader that doesn't know it.
Ooh. What's
And
that person's name? We wanna
Angie,
thank her right
I
now.
know, Andy Redler, I think about her all the time. Um,
Ah,
and
Andy, if you're listening, thank you.
yeah, she just said, you are really, you have strong leadership capabilities, and I think you should go for an office, like run for an office within the executive team with a mom in my sorority. And I was like, what? You know, because I dressed in sweatpants. Like I was like not like I was so not poised and nothing like all the other girls. Like I never wore makeup. I wore sweatpants. That was my attire. And so I was like, you want some girl that wears sweatpants? You know, to
Yeah,
lead an
because we actually all
organization.
want to feel in our power in sweatpants.
Yeah. So anyway, I that really was a changing moment. I going through sorority rush was a changing moment because I got some like amazing feedback, and my rush counselor told me, she's like, just so you know, you're really unique in the sense that all these houses want you, and that just not normal. It's normal, a lot more catty, and there's a lot more drama, and people are cutting and crying. And she's like, you're loving life. You're just floating through this process. And she's like, that doesn't normally happen. And I'm like,
Well,
okay, well, I don't
well,
know anything different, you know.
yeah, was that a real it has to be me moment for you where you really claimed some of your superpowers of
Yeah.
really being able to inspire others just by showing up as who you are?
Yeah, I think especially when I so it was like my first a bit with going through sorority rush and then having all this just amazing feedback of people that I mean I still think about that. I'm like, oh my gosh, that was just so interesting, and especially listening to all the other girls that were not having anything like this. I mean, everybody was crying and bawling, um and I like loved it. I mean, it was really this wonderful experience, you know. And I was trying to go back to that little girl that kept it all inside, right? Because I didn't want to behave as though I was loving it, and so that was what's the word? It was like I didn't want to put it in anybody's face if they were crying, right? So it was a
Yeah.
challenging thing, and but then really my shift was Andy when she told me that I should be a leader. I ran for a position that was what was it called? Fraternity educator or pledge trainer. I don't know for the people who know sororities, which is a position that she did, and um, and that was really like game changing. It has to be me type thing because I was in charge of these 30 girls, and I was in charge of shaping them and teaching them and mentoring them and really teaching them the values of the organization that I had joined and helping them see it through my eyes and how to compose yourself, and which is hysterical because like I'm like wasn't the composed person. I was just me, and but that really
But
changed
everybody else was viewing you as the
it,
composed,
right, which was
amazing,
really
powerful person.
it's so fascinating. And I started to see that, and then I became really close to that group of girls, and it really changed and built my self-awareness. Like I've heard some of your podcasts I listened to in preparation. I loved your word of the mirrors and having people around you who like show mirrors in front of you so you can see yourself in a different way. And I would say that those people just, they had these mirrors in front of me that I saw myself that I in a different way, which was great, which was
Oh,
very teaching.
isn't that beautiful? Was that also an experience for you where you learned to give yourself permission to have your experience, no
Yeah.
matter what anybody else's experience was? So you were really inside of it, learning and growing and expanding into this mentor and leader that you were being and also were going to be, regardless of whether other people were able to meet you there.
Right, exactly. And I think the thing that was really consistent, which is still the person I am today, is really being me, right? And like just like really leaning into and knowing, which is an evolution. I feel like I'm work in progress every day.
Yeah,
I
aren't
mean,
we all?
yeah, like I love so much your celebrate the mess because I mean I feel like that is that is how I've lived my life is celebrating the messes along the way and cleaning them up and apologizing for them and then trying not to do the same mess again. Um, but yeah, just
Yeah.
really just embracing embracing who we are as people, and then just being our best version of ourselves and trying to always sharpen, improve, how can I round out, the edges a little bit more? How can I, just be a,
Ooh, I
better
love that.
person? Yeah,
Oh,
sometimes
I
I feel
love that.
edgy, and sometimes edgy is good. And
Oh,
sometimes,
yeah, it is.
yeah, and then sometimes when it when I feel that the edges could poke in a way that I don't want to
Ooh.
poke, then I'm like, okay,
Tell me about
we're
that.
around.
I want to hear more about what you mean about that.
Yeah, just well, I
Give me
think,
an example of
yeah,
that.
I don't know if I can give a specific example, but the visual in my head is if I'm going to have a conversation where it could be too sharp and not embracing and engaging, to where the end result, which is what we're trying to achieve, right, is I'm probably not going to get the end result. So it would, put somebody in, I don't ever want to put somebody in a defensive position.
Yeah,
So,
so you read the room. You
right,
read the room and you meet somebody where they're at.
right.
Right. Yeah. So I want to go back and ask you about this idea of mentorship.
Yeah.
And one of the many things that I love about you is the way that you genuinely meet people, you see them, you allow yourself to be seen, and you elevate and celebrate others. And so, going back to this story in the sorority where you were mentoring and leading these young women, then when you went to Procter and Gamble, you again were mentoring women, and you continue to mentor women at Sunlight and through the various, speaking engagements and organizations you're involved in. Was that the seed at the sorority where that became really important to you and you learnt to harness that power that you have to inspire others? And was it other things along the way? Like where is that inside of you where you are so committed to making sure that you are championing other women?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I, where it is I feel very, very passionate about lifting women up. Um, and I have this abundance mentality. And when I was a lot of times in high school and college and along at P&G for sure, there was this scarcity mentality. And a lot of women looked at the pie as though there was like one spot for a female.
Yeah.
And so everybody is fighting, right? To like they're fighting to get that spot, but they're fighting against each other, which just didn't make any sense to me. I was just like, the rising tide lifts all boats. Girls, like, come
Yeah.
on. Like, we are so there is nothing more powerful than women who are supporting each other. I mean, it becomes like an
Yes.
energy that's electric, right? And so why don't we do that more?
Electric.
Electric. Why don't we do that more? And I saw when I was young, when I was in a room, like when I was pledge trainer with the girls and I was supporting them and harnessing this electric energy and talking good and talking how beautiful they were and how smart, like all these great things. I mean, it's like a group of peacocks where their feathers were just like whoosh,
Oh.
you know? And that's what gets me excited, and that's the kind of environment and energy I want to be around, is that just type of like, electric positive energy. So yes, when you say did it start back then, it's really important. It became a theme for me to in life to do what I can to shine light on other people so that they are celebrated versus the alternative, which I saw a lot of, and I still do, which is people working hard to dim or even put out somebody else's light so that their small flicker shines brighter. And I just don't,
Yeah.
it's a very hard, and I'm very sensitive to it when I'm around people like that. And I don't want that energy. And I really want to
Yeah.
be in the around the positive, like, let's like, everybody should have fuegos,
Yes.
I mean, we should
The
just be
yummy
all in flavor.
women.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
we want to be hanging out with the yummy women. There's two kinds of women who have claws and fangs and like want to keep the pie for themselves, as you say, to use your analogy. And then the women who just want to go, I'm in the light, come join me, which
Yes.
is exactly what you do. So I want to go back to something we were talking about before
Yeah.
about this natural tendency you had before to not dim your own light, but assimilate, as you said.
Yeah.
That was the word you used before, where you would kind of go with the tide. I want to ask you what you do when you feel that inclination these days, now that you're an incredibly powerful businesswoman, you're leading this huge team of people, you're in all these different countries, speaking at all these events, have this wonderful partnership with Aaron, your husband, which I'll ask you about in a minute. But you know how that fear is still inside of us,
Hmm.
that flicker of, oh, don't be different. Oh, maybe you're too
Absolutely.
much. Or, oh,
Hmm.
what do you do in those moments to remind yourself, keep shining the light, keep
Hmm.
shining the light, keep being Connie?
Hmm. I just had this experience. So your question is like perfect timing. I just, like 3 weeks ago had this experience where I would, had this great opportunity. I was invited to speak at a Young Presidents Organization event, a YPO event, a wellness summit in California, in LA. I was with Hyman and Gundry and
Yeah.
Gabby Reese and all these people who I adore so much. And because of
And
that,
they adore you, by the way.
oh, you're so sweet. But like that adoration started to get in my head, right? Because I was like thinking,
Yeah.
okay, wait a second. That's them. This is me. I'm going to speak, but that's them. Like, so I was really having a hard time wrapping my mind around, you know, I am a speaker and I deserve to be on stage and I am, you know, see, it's even hard for me to say right now, like I am one of them because I'm not one of them. And but that's that.
Yes, you
Well,
are.
hold on. But that what the
Yes.
insight was, where I came to finally have this wonderful peace and calm and back to like just feeling like myself was when I got out of that mindset of who they are and went back to my mindset of who I am and what I stand for and
Yeah.
how every single person is uniquely beautiful, right? Like there's no, like if you talk about DNA and like the way we are wired, like nobody can be anything like you, Test Masters. Nobody can be anything like, anybody. We're every single person is unique. And so it's really embracing that and then thinking through why am I here? Why was I invited to be here? What am I speaking about? And what do I bring to the table? And how can I add value to the people that are coming, to listen? And I just really like
And everybody wants to know about the sauna, the
yeah,
infrared technology, and Mark Hyman's using the sauna, Stephen Gundry's using the sauna. Half the people in the room probably are, if not all of them. I mean, you were probably one of the people that other people were the most excited to hear from. I mean, I love what you're saying, because it doesn't matter how successful we are, who we know. It's interesting going back to your sorority example of how you were feeling inside messy and I'm not enough, I'm too much, all this stuff, and other people were seeing you as, wow, she's incredible, and you were invited to look at yourself the way that others see you, and at the same time be allowing yourself to see yourself. I just love this so much. So I want to ask you, how do you, as an older woman now, going through, having all of these experiences and still having them 3 weeks ago, and you'll
yeah.
have another one that you'll tell me about later, of feeling like that again and having to remind yourself. What are some of the things that you say to young women now as a mentor, to really pass the flame, so to speak, to just be yourself, be different, celebrate yourself. Only you can be unique. All these things that you're saying right now, give us some pearls that you're giving to these young women.
One of them, my probably my well, I have a lot of things that I say, but one of them is just really, really believing in yourself. Even when it's really hard, but finding something, um and it doesn't have to be this massive thing, right? Finding something in yourself that you really love and cherish and is that you celebrate internally. It doesn't have to be externally, but something that you feel really good about. And that can be like your internal mantra, your thing of like, when you get like really nervous and really scared and like thinking like I'm not good enough, I don't deserve to be here on stage. I am on stage with these scientists and everything. But then, like going inside and just saying, wait a second, like it's playing the mental, confident, positive words, like word game. I'm a big word person. I think it's
Yeah, me too.
I think it's just really important to teach our brain how we want it to think and how we want to feel. Ultimately, that's also something I say. I forgot about that. It's I'm really big into visualization, not necessarily visualization of what's going to happen, but visualization on how you want to feel when you're done. So if somebody's about to do something, deliver a presentation, or they're about to give a big speech, or they're about to have a conflicting, conversation, or ask for something they're scared to ask for, let's talk about how do you want to feel when you're finished. So beginning with that in mind, but beginning with the feeling, because we can figure out how to get to that feeling a hell of a lot easier than we can if it's a specific, well, I want that raise, or I want that tactic, or I want that tangible thing. It's like you don't have control over that, but you do have control over how you feel. You absolutely have control over that. So it's
Oh, I
just,
love that.
yeah, so it's really grabbing a whole, and so that's what got me off the like I'm gonna like pass out stage when I was in LA a couple of weeks ago. And my husband, who is just, he's such a pearl, he's such a great guy, and he's doing everything he can to like you know like you know just grab me before I'm about to jump off the cliff, and but it took myself to envisioning, okay, Connie, they're about to call you out. How do you want to feel? How do you want to feel? Like, how I want to feel? I want to feel calm. I want to feel in control. I want to feel passionate about what I do. I want to feel honored and grateful and loved for the stuff that I am bringing forth to everybody that's here, because people do want to know how to be healthier. And so I just like talked to myself of, this is how I want to feel. And I got on stage and that's exactly how I felt. I'm like, I am honored to be here in this space. And I feel great because I have a lot to share. I have a lot. I mean, I've been doing this a long time, and it's not like it was, 20 years ago when I was starting out and I was trying to like really prove, prove. It's like I've done it. And so now it's about helping and educating and enlightening and sharing, all of that. So that was a long answer to what I would say. I haven't
No,
think I would say,
oh,
but
please. I am loving these long answers. So you take as long as you need. I'm eating this up with a wooden spoon. Listener, I bet you feel the same way, right? I want to ask you the other part of what you just talked about. You talked about how you want to feel, and you ask these beautiful young women, what are they celebrating about themselves? What are they loving? What do they love about themselves? What do you love about yourself? What do you celebrate about you?
I celebrate my transparency. I celebrate,
Oh, I love that one.
yeah, it's really important to me. I mean, I lead from my heart, and I do not apologize for that anymore. When I was at P&G, man, it was really hard. It was so hard, um, because I was so heartfelt and I was just so passionate, and people just didn't necessarily. I mean, I was very successful, and then I was celebrated. So I don't want to diminish that, because I was accomplished, but I didn't feel the appreciation for my heart, and I didn't feel the appreciation for, um, for the things that I really love about myself. I appreciated their appreciation for man, I was really good at what I did. I was really smart. I read the studies. Like I did like academically everything. I followed the guidelines, like that was really great. But that's not what makes, that's not what I love about, you know, myself. What I love about, myself and what I love about the people I surround myself with, which is I think equally as important, is that, I show up as I really am, and and I'm willing to you know say I made a mistake. I'm willing to share the good, bad, and ugly, so that I can add value to somebody else who, guess what, there's somebody out there that is having that same experience, and it's okay to feel like, oh man, I wish I wouldn't have said that. I really think that every day I mess up, you know, and then
Oh, yeah, me
right,
too. Let's be over here messy together, because
right,
this is where the juicy stuff happens,
right,
right?
right.
I mean,
It happens,
yeah, and
like it's okay. It's okay, and I just think
yeah,
we can be so hard on ourselves, and I've been there, but I think such beauty and such celebration comes from really being kind to yourself first, and
yes,
giving yourself permission um, to do things that you know that are okay, and giving yourself permission to say, God, I just made a mistake, and you know what, I feel yucky about that. I feel horrible about that. I feel horrible that I made you feel that way. I am like that's I'm just giving an example, and just really just
no.
kind
So
of owning that.
personal responsibility is really important to you. It's really important to me as well. For me, I feel like, you know, in a really healthy relationship, I take responsibility for my part, you take responsibility for your part, and we take joint responsibility for what happens when your part and my part collide. Right.
Correct.
And that to me is a really fluid, healthy relationship of any kind. So I want to get inside this incredible partnership between you and Aaron, because it's very inspiring as an outsider. So take us inside of that a little bit. You talked a little bit before how he really helps you get ready for your speeches and your events, and is so supportive, and he's a pearl. And it's an incredible partnership that has spanned, well beyond 20 years and gone through a lot of different things, very brave, courageous things, like leaving your jobs at Procter and Gamble and starting, Sunlight in the basement of your house and inviting others to come into the basement, literally. What makes your partnership work so well?
Ultimately, it is the respect that we have for each other on a in a total way, meaning that the respect I have for his brain, the respect I have for his values, the respect I have for his wishes, um, the respect I have for his choices, the respect I have the way he parents. I mean, I it and we, like, our famous statement when we were dating, or newly married and still today, we would always say, we are going to agree to disagree, and we're going to move on. And um, that has saved us so many times. I can't even tell you, so many times when in business, personal. I mean, because remember, like, we not only parent together, we live together, we have a business together, we do everything together, we make decisions together, and so we have to find a way to make decisions together and to feel good about that, decision. And the way we've done it is, you know, we'll battle it out just like anybody else. We'll go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And then ultimately, one person it's going to be way more important to, or the other person's like, you know what, you're so passionate about this, like, let's go with your decision, because it's way more important to you than it is to me, and I have respect for that. And so while I don't agree, it's not my choice. I respect that the way you feel about this, and let's move forward. So that
Yeah.
really has, and it's not easy. I mean, as I'm saying this, it sounds, I hear myself talking. It sounds easy, um, but it's not. It's not easy. It's a lot of.
It just sounds like a daily commitment.
It is. It's
A daily commitment to respect, and I will meet you where you're at today and let's have a conversation and I'll listen. That's what I'm
yeah.
hearing.
And another thing we do, like, which is kind of like I use the word hack a lot, or tip or tool, whatever. I but it's been really helpful in our relationship is we use a word called bid. And what that is that if, you've had a disagreement, or, we went with a different decision or whatever, any type of conflict, and then you move on, right? And then that next step after that is really important. And so, for example, if we had a disagreement and we moved on, and then Aaron would say, um, why don't we go to Enjoy for dinner, and why don't we go there, uh, and if I didn't respond, he would say, Connie, that's a bid. Meaning that, you love Enjoy. That is like, you love that place. It like fills your bucket. Like, you're gonna have juice. You're gonna have what's my favorite? There's the name of my favorite thing that I always go, take on the world, or something is the name of my you're gonna love that, and that makes you really happy. And so I want to do that because that makes you happy. And this is my bid to show you that while we just had a massive disagreement, I still love you, and I still want to honor you, and I still want you to be happy. So I will go there with you. That's just an example,
Oh,
but
I
but
love that. I'm stealing that from you
bid
guys.
is and it's good that if you both are on that same page to use that language, because sometimes it's not sometimes, most of the time, if you've been in a conflicting situation, you can't see the bid. You don't even feel it as a bid, right? So it's really important to use the language. If I say I'll say, hey, Aaron, hey, this is a bid. It just totally shuts everything else down. Shoulders come down,
Ah,
armor, everything is like put down. All weapons are put
ah,
away. And it's like, oh, okay,
ah,
I see you. I see you. I feel you. I hear you. I know that is not difficult for you, or that is difficult for you to do. And so, I surrender. And so it's just a really quick way to
ah.
just, it's kind of like hitting the refresh or reset, button, and
Yeah.
just start over, and then, go from there.
Oh, I love that so much. Oh, I am stealing that. It's
Please
so
do.
good.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that with me. So you talked about how very early on in your relationship, even before you were married and then when you were newlyweds, um, you already had established this very respectful container that you were holding each other in. I want to ask you how that served you when you left the safety of a regular paycheck at P&G, both of you, very successful careers, and you decided to take over Sunlighten Saunas from your brother. And I know you'd been inspired by how the sauna had really helped him with his health issues and stuff, but that's a huge leap. That's a huge it has to be me
Mm-hmm.
moment. So can you take us inside of that moment where you went, I'm leaping.
Mm-hmm.
I'm leaping. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if there's ever going to be a net, but I'm doing it. It has to be me.
Yeah. 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 Um, yeah. Oh my goodness. I mean, that, I remember it so clearly. So to back up for a second before I share like that moment, so Aaron and I had always talked about, how we really wanted in this world to make a difference, and to really, leave a footprint, and to do something big and bold. And so we were always on a side. This is before my brother, before Sunlight. We were always having these conversations. What about this idea? What about this idea? What about this idea? And and that actually happened before we were even dating. So there was other people that were in our group, and we would have and then when my brother was in this situation where he needed help, the business was not in a good place. And I didn't even know how bad it was at the moment, but my brother asked for help, and he, family first. And so Aaron and I said, what if we're not supposed to come up with an idea from scratch? What if it's right in front of us and we're just supposed to take this and make it better? What if? And so, God, that was a beautiful moment. And then everything after that was scary as shit. Because we mortgaged everything. I had the most adorable house ever that was all mine for a second until Aaron moved in, and then it had a black leather couch and this TV that was as large as our wall, and shortly thereafter I had people showing up at my house every day to report to work. And I'm like, wait, where did my cute little adorable little house go? But anyway, the point of all of that is we mortgaged that house. We did all the things that if I was mentoring somebody, I'm not sure I would tell them to do. But it had to be me moment where we were like, we're going to do this. And in order to do this, we are going to be all in. And we were all in. Aaron quit first, and he, worked around the clock. I worked at P&G and then the evenings worked, for a company that we were just starting. And then like every waking moment I was calling the bank to, please, 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 can you give us a loan? Please. I mean, just constantly doing that type of stuff. And it was scary. It was really, really scary. But we persevered. And that would be, one of the things that I would tell somebody is, not necessarily to mortgage and leverage every asset that you have in your life without a plan B, not to do that. But I would say to persevere, because I really truly believe that so many dreams are not met or achieved like 1 or 2 or 3 steps before they're just about to cross over that breakthrough line. I think if people just keep going and they persevere, they're going to get there. It's the people that just say, I'm out. They'll never know. And so we just kept doing it, and back then, Tess, and still this is probably one of my personal hacks in life but especially back then it was hour by hour. Like literally because it was, the simple situation was, people had ordered products, saunas from us, but we didn't have any money in the bank to pay the manufacturer to ship them. And so we were like trying to, to figure out where to get money to pay the manufacturer so that people's saunas could ship. And so there was just this, literally hour by hour. And that's what I would do. I would say, okay, from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock, I'm going to call this bank. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to call this person that I've already called 20 times, but maybe this time they'll say yes. They want to buy another sauna, and so it was one of those, it wasn't like 5 years from now. It wasn't 1 year from now. It was literally hour by hour, sometimes minute by minute, and just managing your emotions and managing to the minute and staying as positive as we could at that time. And it really is what built the culture for the company today, because we were all about celebrating the wins, because as soon as we had one, man, we celebrated. We're like, yes, we did that. Now we can do something else. I mean, it's about momentum. And, now we can conquer this one. Now we can do this. And that it's tough.
I love it's such a beautiful template though for how we live our lives. It's choice by choice, moment by moment. You solve one problem and then you solve the next one and the next one. And we're all just aiming to make the next better choice.
Right.
And then listening, getting the data from ourselves and the rest of the world and going, okay, boom, let me take another step. And so I want to go back to this leadership idea. You talked about the company culture, and it is a beautiful company. I mean, every single person over the many years that I've been connected to Sunlighten, they're just beautiful people, and the fish shines from the head, doesn't rot from the head in Sunlighten. It shines from the head, right? From you and Aaron. You know, how do you consistently inspire that, cultivate that, keep showing up? Is it just that moment by moment thing again with each interaction you have with each team member? Or is there sort of more of an overarching sort of strategic? I know you've got mission statements as a company and stuff like that, but as Connie, how do you keep showing up for these people and keep shining your light and saying, hey, come join me?
Yeah, because that part is actually relatively easy. Like a lot of the other questions you asked are really, really hard, and it brings back like really, really difficult memories. But showing up to do to help people live a more vital and youthful and energetic and happy and positive life. Oh, I mean, it just makes me so happy. It doesn't get much better than, I mean, our promise is to help people feel better and do more and live fully. And then my Connie Zackism is, I want people to do more of what they love to do with the people they love to do it with. And if I can help bring products to market
Oh,
so that they can spend more time with the people they love to spend it with, because our product helped with a backache, or it helped the knee injury, or it helped just overall bring their stress down, or helped with mental clarity, or helped give them more energy so that now they can go and spend more time with their kids, that before they were like, oh, kids, like, don't ask me to do one more thing, and they go in the sauna and now they have the energy to do that. That's the gift that I want to continue to bring to people. And I want to make sure that our team at Sunlighten understand that, and that they share that with customers. I mean, we really care about our team. We care about the customers, because ultimately we want the world to be a healthier place and provide products that can help people live in this full life. So many times people, they're just kind of walking through life, and they're just trying to survive, and they're just trying to dodge a bullet. And man, I think you should just be in control and control the bullets as much as you can, and thrive and live in this, just with light all around you. And so that's why I keep doing what I'm
it's
doing, and it makes me happy.
yeah, it's so beautiful, this image of light, right? That we keep constellating around in this conversation, just because you're really pioneers in light therapy, right? Light and heat that just feels so beautiful. So I want to ask you what it's like as pioneers in a space, leaders, the pressure to keep innovating, because you really do have this patented technology and nobody else can touch you. I mean, they really are the greatest infrared saunas in the world. I cannot live without my M-Pulse sauna. I love my Lumineer. I mean, I just love this. Sauna has changed my life, and so many people that I know, through whether it's illness, weight loss, stress, sleep, inflammation, all these things. But this innovation piece as leaders, how do you handle that pressure to keep coming up with the next thing, to keep staying ahead, to keep putting out quality products that help people live their best life?
The key to that is different today than it was years ago. And it really, what I love about where we are as a society right now is people are listening and they're engaged, and they want to take action. I really truly believe, and I may have this, this kind of just unicorn attitude with like Aaron always says, like, you live with rainbows and and unicorns all around you. And I'm like, but I really truly believe that people,
I love the unicorn
right.
rainbows space, by the
Yeah,
way.
it's beautiful. And I do believe it's not like something that's fake. I really do believe that people want to live their best life and they want to live their healthiest life. They just don't necessarily know how sometimes. And sometimes they make it too complicated. And so as far as to answer your question about pressure to innovate and where we are, it's all about the consumer now, like the people that we are making products for and the people that are in our space, listening to them, hearing them, and bringing solutions to where they are. Versus years and years ago, we were mastering, well, first we were learning about this infrared wavelength and infrared heat and infrared light and how to master that. Today, it's really about understanding our people, and understanding what people want, what do they desire, what do they need, and how can we bring that to them. And that's a different place. And I really like that shift much better than the just constantly trying to think, okay, what's going to be out, like what is the need 10 years from now, right? Now it's give people the solutions that they want. They may not know that they want it, but figuring out a way out, to help them, and by listening to them, and by following, their feedback and messaging. And so, yeah.
I also just love this idea that we're talking about and how it translates to what you actually do, of how do you want to feel when you talked about going and giving that speech. How do I want to feel? It really is similar to what the infrared technology does, right? Can you just share that with the listener about how infrared heats you from the inside,
Mm-hmm.
right? So just explaining the difference between an infrared sauna and a steam sauna.
Yeah. So
that you really do feel this from the inside.
So the best analogy I can give that I know everybody has felt so they can relate is, if well, today is a perfect example, here in Kansas City, it was cloudy all day and you walk outside and you're like, oh, you just have this different feeling. And then all of a sudden you're outside and the sun peeks through the cloud and you just feel almost like this blanket, gives you this hug. And you're just like, oh, thank you, sun. That feels so good. That's infrared. That's the feeling of infrared. The majority of the sun's wavelength is in the infrared wavelength. So it's just in this really gentle, beautiful hug around you. And steam or hot air and all heat is great. So, I mean, heat is, it's just a difference in the way it feels. And then there's also some, biochemical, differences. But as far as steam and dry heat, you're hot because the air is hot. So when you go into a steam sauna and you walk in, and a lot of times people go, oh, sometimes it takes their breath away because the heat is in the air. And so you're feeling hot because the air is hot. Whereas today, like in Kansas City, it's not that hot out, but I can feel when that sun comes out, and I can see the light energy, and the light energy is responding to my body, because our body needs light, and I think that's one of the reasons I've always been so passionate about not even understanding it myself, right? Is just that, when the sunlight comes up, you're like, oh wow, the sun is up, and it just your brain starts to respond because it's part of your circadian rhythm, and it starts to get your body going, and that means that tells your brain, okay, it's time to go, and then the sun goes down, it's like, okay, it's time to start chilling out.
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting the way you explain it, which I love, because that is what it feels like when you're in the infrared sauna, is that you feel relaxed and balanced and connected and at the same time energized.
Yeah.
It's to me how I feel when I sit in my sauna every day is I'm able to hold it all in balance, right? That it's not one thing or another. We're not relaxed or energized. We can be activated, feeling and holding all the parts of ourselves. And it's actually, to me, it feels like that. And that's why, I mean, sunlighten, like enlighten with the sun, with the heat, with the light. I mean, it's such brilliant branding, just let me say that. But but what I guess what's so inspiring to me about just this whole story, your whole story, is this takeaway of how it feels inside of you and then how you radiate and share that with others and the world, you know. And that is what it feels like, not to be totally unicorn and rainbows and corny and cheesy, but that is what it feels like. So just to say to you today, you are succeeding in spectacular fashion with your mission, because that's how I feel, you know, with this product in the sauna. I just feel so empowered, you know, like I just get in it. It's just a non-negotiable part of my self-care. So listener, if you have not tried an infrared sauna or gotten inside of one, go to a day spa. You know, if you're in Kansas City, Sunlighten Day Spa is exquisite, but lots of chiropractors, practitioners, yoga studios, wellness centers. There's so many places that have sunlight and infrared saunas around the world. I highly recommend going and experiencing it. It's very, very different than a steam sauna, and it is incredible. I just want to warn you though, once you get in one, you're going to want to keep getting in one because you feel so incredible. So just want to warn you, you might be cursing me a few weeks from now because you're just going to be saving up to get one now. But what I love, Connie, is that you just have things to meet everybody's budget as well. Like the Solo, you know, is a less, you know, less expensive version of the standalone, you know, I don't know if you call them box saunas. That's probably the wrong the wrong terminology. But you know, these wooden, beautiful structures, which I actually think they're gorgeous. Actually, like I had it in my house, inside my house. But going back to you really walking the talk by meeting people and enabling this technology to be accessible to people of all budgets. So was that Solo, the choice to make that Solo sauna that can literally roll under your bed, was that exciting for you
Oh,
to be able to do that?
the Solo is, I mean, I could get teary-eyed when I think of the Solo, and because it's been such a foundational product for us that I love so much. And I mean that is actually like a whole conversation in itself, just because the quick summary is the technology that we really learned to understand and eventually master really started with that product. And so like when you say, is that was it, were you excited? I felt completely different when I took my very first solo session than I did when I this other product that we were selling, which we don't sell anymore. So rest assured. Um, but it's because we started to understand there's a difference in infrared. Like all infrared is not the same, and just because that it's infrared, it doesn't mean it's what we call today, you know, Sunlighten's infrared, which is the highest amount on the market, and that's so it's just what we've spent. We don't have to, you know, spend a lot of time on that, but it's just what we've spent our, you know, we've dedicated our time and effort and commitment to is giving people what we really want is to give people the peace of mind that they're getting the highest quality, they're getting the highest quantity. They can't get more infrared anyplace else, you know, for less money. And you know, and just know that we got their back, you know, and we're here, we're in this
Yeah,
with
you
you,
do.
you know. So
Yeah, you do. They're the greatest saunas. Thank you so much for how you show up in the world and bringing this incredible innovation and technology and joy and light and heat and yumminess and like again, I can't say it enough. It's completely changed my life, and knowing you has been really life changing for me as well. So thank you for meeting me and celebrating me and seeing me and partnering with me over the years. It's just truly meant the world to me. And that luminaire, by the way, I just got to mention that to you, listener, because I put that on my face every day, and it just, watching TV, talking to someone, or whatever, and it's just made my skin so beautiful, as does getting in the sauna. So a lot of people will ask me why my skin looks so good. Well, part of it is I eat really well, but the other part is I get in an infrared sauna a lot, right? So, Connie, thank you so much for getting messy with me today.
I'm so happy you're doing this
I
podcast, Tess. I know we talked about this a little bit before, but I just have to say, publicly in front of all the listeners, I mean, this is just your calling, and you have such a gift to, engage with people and pull stuff out of them that will inspire and help other people. And it's such, I mean, I remember when I met you, and I was still so thankful to Dr. Michelle Robin for connecting us and introducing us. And, while the sonic connection was great, the heart to heart connection was so
Yeah,
much greater.
I
And
remember.
when I saw you were doing this, I was just elated. I'm like, yes, she is the right person to be doing this type of right work that is so important. This type of work is so important to help people who are in a state of confusion, or sad or depressed, or just going through a lot of dissonance in their brain, or battling all sorts of different things. I mean, there's so much of that going on, that if you can provide this, sparkle, of positive energy, and this like little bit of seed for people, I just think you're doing such a really just exponentially grand work. And I am grateful to know
Oh,
you
thank
on a
you.
personal level outside of of this podcast. So I know the real person that actually like is like the same person showing up today, but it's really special that we get to do this after knowing each
Oh,
other for so
that's
long.
so special. I mean, I love any time I get to talk to you, but how wonderful in this format where we can invite you in, listener, to just cozy up with us and get inside your beautiful story, Connie. So thank you for sharing so transparently. Going back to one of your superpowers is transparency. You really, really do that, and just so generous of spirit and sharing what you know and your experiences to shine the light and give the heat and the beautiful warmth to others. So I close every conversation with the same thing, which is for someone out there right now who has a dream in their heart that might be thinking, I'm not enough, I don't deserve it, I don't have what it takes to make it happen. What would you say to them?
I would say you do, would be the first thing. And I would say be aware of the words that you are playing in your head. So that would be the very first thing, is I would reframe that and say, if you have a dream, you have what it takes to follow that dream. Listen to your intuition, follow your gut. That's been my number one theme all of my life. And when I go against it, I am mad that I did. And when I follow it, and even sometimes when I have to convince Aaron, I'm like, hey, look, I'm telling you, like every spidey sense in my body is saying, this. It's really,
It has to be
right.
me.
It helps to support the decision. So follow your gut. Know that you have what it takes. And if it takes just saying that to yourself over and over again, do that, because your brain is so powerful. It is the most powerful part. And if you tell yourself, I have what it takes, I have what it takes, I have what it takes, you're going to have what it takes, because you're going to manifest it within your body. So, and then have courage is one of my favorite words in this world, because it means
Yeah.
corazon, which means it comes from the heart. So have
Yes.
courage to persevere, believe in yourself. And my last thing is find those electric friends that just lift
Oh,
you up,
yeah.
because you're going to need them. So even if it's just one, doesn't matter. You don't have to have this entire circle. Start with one person who believes in you, who knows you, who's that mirror that can say, yes, you have what it takes. follow your dream. It's your dream. It's nobody else's. Don't let anybody else take it from you.
Well, I feel like I'm sitting in the sauna with you with this yummy, warm, beautiful light and energy. Thank
Oh,
you. I
thank
love
you.
you.
I love you too. Thanks for having me.
Isn't she delightful? There are so many beautiful things that pierced my heart during our conversation. I love how she sees herself as a unicorn and chooses to see everybody else that way. That we can celebrate our uniqueness and the special light and gifts that we share with the world, and the magic, positive, electric energy that happens when we elevate and celebrate each other. And when you doubt yourself, when those feelings of I'm not enough start bubbling up, you can harness the belief in yourself by using that strategy that she shared when she was speaking at the event, where you can use those positive words and visualize how you want to feel and how you want others to feel around you. And I love the personal responsibility and respect mandate that she applies to her relationship with Aaron and all of her relationships. I love the beard. When you've had conflict with someone and you want to hit the reset button, of putting out an offer saying, I love and respect you. Let's move forward with love. I'm totally putting that tool into my toolbox. And I loved her story about perseverance when they were starting Sunlight out of their basement and didn't know how they were going to make ends meet, but they just kept making the next decision, making that next choice, working on it day by day, moment by moment, because they believed that what they were doing needed to be out in the world and that they were the people that were meant to be doing it, that it's your dream. Nobody gets to take that away from you. And the importance of having people in your social circle that hold up mirrors telling you, yeah, you've got what it takes. You can do it. And of course, the extraordinary healing power of infrared technology and Sunlighten Saunas. I've certainly experienced it in my life, and thousands of people in my health programs at Skinny 60 and the Decadent Detox just rave about how infrared saunas have changed their lives. So Connie and her team were so generous to give me a coupon code for you. So if you go to sunlighten.com and enter the code ME, ME, for it has to be me, you can get up to $600 off your sauna. So definitely check it out, because infrared technology is truly life-changing. And I cannot wait to hear in our group what your key takeaways were from this episode. I want to hear about your It Has to Be Me story. So head on over to ithastobeme.com/stories to share it in our free community. You can also join the conversations we're having about this episode and others. I'm Tess Masters. Join me next week and we'll dive inside another great story to help us go from dreaming to doing.